All right, rock and roll. Welcome to the Scorched Earth podcast. This is Sunday, February 2nd. I don't really like putting dates on it too much. I'd rather put it on the description, but wow, I had a day. I had a day today. First of all, please hit the subscribe and the like buttons. I appreciate it. I'm going to get to your comments tomorrow. I'm meeting with super producer Stacy. She's going to help walk me through the iPhone debacle that is my life. Every time I think I get it to a point where I'm actually getting semi-competent with it, I take two steps back and I'm like, wow, where's the back button? Where is this? Where is that? And I'm like, oh, geez, I'm getting her more and more frustrated. I'm telling you, she's going to, if I'm not here one day, it's because she strangled me. God bless her. She's going to be, there's only so much patience, you know? Please leave your comments. I appreciate them. I'm going to respond to them tomorrow. And so I love movies. I love going to the movies. I love everything about the movies. I like going in there to a dark theater and just watching the lights go down, seeing it come up on the big screen. And it is just such a visceral experience for me. And honestly, the movie industry has done everything they can to destroy the movie-going experience with the streaming, with not letting it stay in the theaters for 90 days, just a whole bunch of things. And honestly, I think that the traditional studios are going to destroy themselves. It does seem like the new wave is the Apples and the Amazons and these independent studios who are making incredible movies. I saw Wolves this year with Brad Pitt and George Clooney, and who would have ever thought that a non-Big Five studio would put out something that heavy-hitting? But they just do. They get good scripts. They make good movies. And they're getting huge directors. I mean, it's just amazing. And so I went to my parents' house. I do some little knickknacks, you know, do some chores there. And, you know, it's weird when you start helping out your parents. They're 85. I'm so lucky they're still alive. But it's crazy that I do chores, but I'm worried about their memory because for some reason, after I do the chores, they forgot about the concept of allowance. Hello? Pay for play? Hello, mom and dad? So I was checking the local cinemas, and one of the nice things about LA is they do have a myriad of movie theaters. I mean, all over, showing all kinds of old movies. And they were showing at the local Cinemaplex 7. I guess it's the 30-year anniversary of 7. Truly one of my favorite movies. I would probably say it's in my top 5. Definitely in the top 10. And it's funny when you see the critics and they have a top 10, there's like 30 movies in there. Oh, well, yeah, I like that and I like that, you know. 7 was just, it's the 30-year anniversary. It's a 1995 film. If you don't know about it, I don't even know if we can have a relationship. I don't even know if I can talk to you anymore. It's a 1995 movie. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman. They're chasing a serial killer in Los Angeles. And it's directed by the great David Fincher. Benjamin Button, Gone Girl. The guy's a legendary director. And it's just really that perfect collision of a great script, great acting, great directing, just everything just brilliant. And so I went in and I was, you know, getting ready to watch the movie and a preview came up. Now, most previews suck. You know, you're sitting there and, you know, whatever it is. But they do kind of get you into those genres. So 7 is about a serial killer. It's about death. It's a very dark, dark movie. And the preview for the movie was this movie called Warfare. And it's coming out in a couple months here. And it's by the director, Alex Garland. He's done some pretty interesting movies. Ex Machina with Alicia Vikander. He did the Civil War movie a year ago. He's done some interesting movies. And in this movie, it basically, from the 2-minute clip I saw, it's a team of Navy SEALs in Iraq, in Baghdad, and they're holed up in this house. They have snipers with them, and they're trying to figure a way to get out. And, you know, most of the stuff is cookie cutter. It's the usual, oh, guys try and get out. The Americans always live, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's not really real life. But one of the interesting comments was the leader of the platoon or the group tells the sniper, he goes, hey, shoot for smoke and blood. Shoot at smoke and blood. And I was like, ooh, that's a little different. You don't hear that kind of thing. And in the movies, they have different visions of what war really is. And I know that it does have to get a little sanitized. They have to make money, right? But the movie that really changed it for me was Saving Private Ryan. You stay with me. You're going to hear something amazing soon for the first time in this podcast history. And Steven Spielberg really pushed it. He really, really pushed the envelope. And that opening scene, that opening 12 minutes is just spectacular. I mean, we're seeing guys fall into the water and get shot in the water. We're seeing just the brutality of war. And I personally had never seen anything that graphic and that intense and that basically how badly our guys were getting wounded, right? Back to my mom. Love my mom. She's the best. 85, like I said. But they have Prime. They got YouTube. They got Netflix. And so what does my mom watch all day? She watches this old Western channel, literally, with movies, with TV series that are 65 years old. Like, I'll go over there, and I'm like, wow, man. This is like, I must be a masochist. What I'm watching it. She will just sit there and watch Bat Masterson all day. Now, for anybody who doesn't know about Bat Masterson, consider yourself lucky. That's a trauma I don't know if you can overcome. But it's basically a TV series of this guy in a bow tie, great gambler, just cool dude. He's got a cane, and he defeats everybody. You know, he's the guy who walks in, and the big bully in town walks up to him, and he hits him once, and boom, the guy's out for 4 hours. You know, real realistic, right? And she'll watch it all day, and I see it, and, you know, the violence is, you know, the guy shoots from a half a mile away as his horse is going, and boom, hits the guy in the eye. Whoa, oh, wow, good shot, you know. It is amazing how far Westerns, how much war movies have come in terms of realism. You know, I think Clint Eastwood, in his coup d'etat, his masterpiece, Unforgiven, really showed the dark side of what the Western could be. But let's go back to the Warfare movie. And I was seeing the Navy SEALs and their snipers in the little clip, and it made me think back to a person I met when I was working in San Francisco. Yeah, I used to work as a union carpenter. Now, I know you look at me and say, wow, I can't believe male modeling wasn't in his future. But no, I was a guy with the hands, you know, working on construction stuff. So I worked on this job for basically 9 months. In San Francisco, we were doing a remodel of a Target, and they were retrofitting it into a grocery store. And they had a lot of refrigeration. They need coolers, cases, all kinds of stuff. So I'm working there every day for 9 months, and I got to know the refrigeration guys. This may come as a shock to you. I do have the ability to converse and talk to people. Yeah, I know. And it's I can actually do it when I'm not on fentanyl. And so I got to know him, and one of the gentlemen told me that this gentleman, Steve, one of their apprentices in the crew, was a Navy SEAL, and he was a sniper. And I was like, wow. Now, Steve really didn't talk to me, and I thought it was either one, he had really good judgment on who and what I am as a person, or maybe I had offended him. I had said something sarcastic and he was like, F that dude, or maybe it was being a liberal. I didn't really know. And over the next couple months, I kind of got to know Steve. You know, we worked on projects together. We complimented each other. We did some stuff, even though we weren't in the same crew. One hand helps the other type thing. And he was an incredibly cool guy, but he was incredibly quiet, reserved. There was a dark side. And so I started hanging out with him a little more. You know, we'd work on a project and go, hey, let's go get something to eat. And he'd go and we'd go. And eventually he started to open up to me a little. And I'm a very inquisitive guy. I'm always asking questions. I'm fascinated by what makes the world go round. And I ask a lot of stupid questions. But I just have this insatiable desire to know stuff. Now, obviously, with my limited intellect, I can't retain it all. You know, I'm like the turkey. Yeah, know one thing one day, forget it the next. You know, Dory from Finding Nemo would probably be a more appropriate thing. And so I said, what was it like being a sniper? And he said, it was just dark. He goes, I still am dealing with the repercussions of it every day. Now, what I think most people would say is, well, it's because he's killing people. And we've seen big movies about snipers, right? We've seen Shooter with Mark Wahlberg. We saw the Sniper series with Tom Berenger. Enemy at the Gate with Jude Law, brilliant movie. But I think the most famous that we all know is American Sniper with Bradley Cooper. Clint Eastwood directed it. Just a brilliant movie, made hundreds of millions of dollars. Just a fantastic movie. But something, I was thinking to myself, well, this is something like PTSD when he comes home. And it took me a while. And then he told me what really destroyed him. And I have never heard this in any media outlet. This is the only place literally outside of sniper school you're going to hear this. And this is dark. If you want to turn it off, you turn it off now. So there's two types of snipers. There's the sniper who hangs out in the bush. He goes across the desert. He shoots some guy from 3/4 of a mile away, kills the bad guy. America saved democracy. But there is a second type of sniper, and let me be painfully clear. There might be a third and fourth kind. This is the second kind that my friend Steven told me about. And that is when you have a patrol of 6 or 8 SEALs, and they are going to go break into a house. They don't pull the car up like the police do in front of the house and run in, because those people are ready for it. They use the element of surprise, right? So these gentlemen, the SEALs, let's say 6 or 8 of them, they're going to break into X house in the middle of a block. What do? They literally drop them off 3/4 of a mile away so nobody knows they're coming. So there's no camera on the street, nobody's seeing the vehicle, there's no reporting. You know, they're going and they're hoofing it 3/4 of a mile. They're going through 3, 4, 5 different streets, because even if somebody sees them, they don't know where they're going, right? It makes sense. If you drop somebody off at the bottom of the block, hey, XYZ, there's police. There's troops at the bottom of the street. Well, if you drop them 5, 6 blocks away, they don't know where they're going. They don't have a clue until it's too late. Here we are. So what would happen is they would plan the route of how they're going to get to house X. Let's just call it in the middle of the block, right? But they do want to be as stealth as possible. So they have 2 or 3 snipers triangulating to cover different angles so nobody can kill these SEALs. Well, typically what happens is when they're running up the block and people, the natives, the neighbors, whatever, see them, they run in their house. They ain't messing around. We already know what this is, okay? Forget the jihad. I don't have a chance against these 8 proficient and efficient soldiers, right? So they run. But what could give away them? And this is where Stephen told me, and this is the darkest thing you're ever going to hear. He said the dogs give them away. Yeah. So they're running through a block, and think about it. The dogs are going to start barking. And that's going to alert people, and that's going to tee off possibly their target. So he told me, and I remember the first time he told me, he was crying. I mean, there was tears coming down his face. He told me that he had to shoot dogs. They had to figure out what dogs were in the yard, and they took them out. And I said, wow, I've never heard that. He goes, yeah, my job was to kill the dogs. All three of us snipers had to kill dogs. And he said, I remember in a quiet moment, he said, I know killing people is wrong, but in my mind, I was trained as a soldier that they were the enemy. And that was the moral justification in my mind to kill these people. He goes, I never got to the place where I felt morally justified killing a dog. A dog was just a dog. And I remember that day we were having lunch, and it was so moving, I started crying. I'm getting kind of emotional just thinking about it. And, when these brave people come back from a foreign land or whatever, I think there is things that they deal with. Everybody wants to label it PTSD, and, because it's easy to label. It is that preview today really brought back that memory, and I thought I'd share it with you. I don't know if these memories are something you really want to hear. If not, I guess I'll move on from it, but I'd like to hear your feedback on it. All right, let's talk a couple quick things in the news today. I got to rehydrate. Actually, I don't want to cry in front of you. I'm trying to hold back. I love dogs. I love animals. So Trump today or yesterday instituted 25% tariffs. We talked about this yesterday on Mexican and Canadian goods. It was through an executive order. And we found out a little more today that in this executive order, if those countries raise tariffs on us, that Trump has the ability, the right to re-increase the tariffs. So right now they stand at 25%. And let's just call it what it is. It's a pissing contest, right? We're the big dog on the block. We're going to see if we can get away with it. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. I'm kind of torn here. I kind of want to just see this whole thing go down the drain, go down the toilet, just so we can do the I told you so. But so many Americans and so many families are going to be affected by it. I really can't do that. I really basically, and I'm sure everybody in the audience knows, and it's just repetitive and blah, 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 but the tariff is a tax. And China ships something here, Mexico ships something here, Canada ships something here. And once it gets to our door, they put a 25% tax. So if it's $10, now it's $12.50. You and I are paying that tax. It's just what it is. China's not paying it. Now, will China sell fewer goods? Yeah, possibly. That's very, very probable. But what if there's no American competition in that industry? We're just going to have to pay it. It's kind of like, do you remember back in 2020 when we had the pandemic? And I've alluded to it previously that, you went to the store and there was no toilet paper, towels, hand sanitizer, cheese, eggs, different. It seemed like every week there was a scarcity issue, right? You didn't really care water. You didn't care what you paid for it. You were just happy you got it. You literally didn't care about the price. You put the two things of water in. I remember that was the limit at Costco. You put the one thing of toilet paper in. You didn't even look at the price. You just saw it when you were at the register, and then they said, "Oh, well, the $10 toilet paper is now $18." You didn't care because you literally were hoarding it. And everybody sits there and says, it's all the hoarders who are stupid. Okay, I get that. But you don't know if something gets so scarce it doesn't come back for 3 months. You don't know. I can't blame the people. At the end of the day, can you imagine a family going without toilet paper? How are you going to deal with the kids? I mean, wow. That's going to be real nice. You're going to be heading to the theater like John and just stealing the toilet paper out of the stalls. Yeah, there you go. So Trump also put a 10% tariff on Canadian energy imports. Now, CNN is reporting that these energy imports affect up to 120 million Americans, and they are Canadian oil, electricity, and natural gas. We're going to actually see what the price is, what that's going to be. I mean, the problem with that is whatever the price increase is, you're paying it. I mean, my natural gas company, Southern California Gas, they're not changing their source, even if it goes up 10%. That's it. It's not like there's these vagabond gas companies that just run up to the companies and go, hey, we're 10% less. Here you go. It's like gas stations. They got the same supplier. They got the same supplier today. They're going to have it in a week. They're going to have it in a month. And a year from now, it'll be the same supplier. Because there's so many environmental regulations that there's so few people in that sphere. So, go figure, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau instituted 25% tariffs on American goods. America sends $155 billion of goods a year to Canada. That's CNN reporting. Yeah, we're going to see where this comes out. I hope the economy isn't dinged. I mean, as much as I don't like Trump, I don't want to see people suffer, and that's what always happens. It's me and you. It's the middle class. It's the poor. We're the ones who suffer because increases on utilities, increases on food hit us harder. We don't have as much disposable income, I won't have as much money for my Super Bowl prop bets, right? All right. Sad news. The pilot of the Black Hawk helicopter has been identified. Army soldier Rebecca Lobet from Durham, North Carolina, was the pilot. And it's just really tragic. We haven't been given any information on how many training missions she had, how much experience she had. It's just, when we lose anybody, male or female, it's tragic. The thing that bothers me the most about this is there already has been some pushback in concert with Trump's press conference about not the right qualified people or doing the right qualified jobs. Can we apply that to president? Okay, well, let's move on. And the inference came out from some of the red hats that, women aren't really qualified to do these jobs. And I think that's just bullshit, straight bullshit. Women are eminently qualified. They can do a lot of things better than men. I'm just not buying into that. There's standards. They have to pass the standards. And let's be honest, women have to overcome almost every bias there is. They've got to work twice as hard. They've got to be twice as efficient just to get the same rating as some guy. I've seen it. We've all seen it. I'm not even talking about the sexual harassment stuff they get. I mean, just stupid prejudice stuff. And it still exists. But, the Doge people, Elon Musk, they want to say it's all good. Let's just make sure white America's cool. And let's do the Nazi salute. I'm not doing that Nazi salute. I don't need that coming back to haunt me when I run for president in 8 years. And Elon Musk, in a story we ran yesterday, did today gain access to sensitive Treasury payment systems. The story we ran yesterday was David Lebrecht, the top-ranking U.S. Treasury Department official, left his post after clashing with Musk during the month of December and early January after Musk asked him for access to the system. Now we have a gentleman, Elon Musk, with access to vital and very sensitive Treasury Department. It's our money system. It's our monetary system without him being approved by Congress. There's no vetting. There's no nothing. He gave $500 million to Trump. That's all he needed to do. All right. We're going to find out. And finally, you can take this as good news or you can take this as bad news. I'm going to try to take it as good news. That the DNC has elected Ken Martin as their new DNC chairman. The Democratic National Committee now has a new chairman. He was previously the head of the Minnesota Farm Labor Party, and he says he wants to get the party back to basics. I think this is all code for we are going to step away from these socially progressive issues. Let's call it what it is, trans issues at the moment, DEI, woke, whatever. At the end of the day, right now, we're a wounded party. But I'm telling you right now, we are a lot better off than the Republicans were at this time 4 years ago. At 4 years ago, they tried to overturn an election. They had a riot. Trump was put into exile. He was impeached for a second time. The party was in ruins. 4 years. Let's see what Donald Trump does. I have faith in the Democratic opposition. I will give you this little nugget about Ken Martin. In his 14 years as the chairman of the Minnesota Farm Labor Party, which is a progressive wing of the party in Minnesota. Now, progressive in Minnesota is different than progressive in California and New York, right? It's probably moderate here. So his Democratic Farm Labor Party did not lose a single election in 14 years. He was 25-0. Wow. That's a pretty impressive resume. Back to basics. We'll see what the narrative is. We got a long way to go. And hopefully we can get there as a country, and hopefully we can be better as a people. All right. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe button. I love you all. Leave your comments. Unless they're negative, I don't want to hear them, okay? All right. Have a good day.